So as you both know, I think you both know, we record these and they go on our YouTube channel. So if people want to watch them later, they can. I'm going to share my screen most of the time. I may turn it off and on for a couple other things, but I think I'll probably have it shared most of the time just to walk through kind of the basics. Again, this is just the getting to know CourseDen kind of thing. So I want to walk through some of the basics, but again, I like to go over the things that you like to know, the people who come to this session in particular. So those of this, if you're watching this later, we also have several other recordings on many other the topics that we go over, including this one again, which is probably different than this one will be because I, again, kind of change it up every time I do it. So that's just how I am. So with that stated, I'm not going to go completely off the grid here as far as getting started with this, but once you log into CourseDen, there's a couple things I want to point out just because of some issues we've recently had. So just logging into CourseDen. I know a lot of people actually go here and they just go to the main homepage, to our university homepage, and they log into CourseDen using this login right here. So those of you who probably have seen the emails, there's been some issues with this portal last night and this morning. So if you click login here and try to log into CourseDen, it may not let you in from here. So if this page is down, that doesn't mean that CourseDen is down. So what we like to recommend to faculty and students when we can is to actually bookmark this page here, this wsga.view.usg.edu, because you can go directly to this page, because CourseDen is actually housed in Athens, and we don't house the servers here, which means even if our campus basically catches on fire, you can still access CourseDen. So I hope that doesn't happen, but anyway, yeah, so you can access this outside of that. So this is kind of a good URL to have, and I would usually bookmark that just to help kind of find it later. I'll bookmark it on here just for fun. So there's our CourseDen. So then if you go to the CourseDen, I'll back up a little bit. I think it'll let me. So just coming to this page, log in, you still use your same credentials that you would normally from the My UWG. It's just you don't have to go to My UWG to do it. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to walk into just a temp class that I built, a sandbox course, if you will, one of these that we're just playing in to try to cover some of the basics. Before I do that, do either of you have questions about this home page or just anything on the home page? I think it's fairly clear. I just want to make sure if there's something that I should cover. Do you have any thoughts?
Nothing other than a question, I guess, about how much flexibility do we have to change the look of these pages. This page, maybe not, maybe we don't. I don't know, but can we move these things around? I mean, change the student view, not just my view, but.
Right. So yeah, a little bit, not a lot. On this page is more of the university's page.
Right.
So not a lot on this particular page. Notice I have a whole lot of classes over here listed because I do a lot. So I'm seeing the last 10 accessed, but I don't know how many. I have a lot that I've been enrolled in from different semesters. And you may have the same view here. You can do, like I have some that I'm different role. If you're a different role in some, you're an instructor, you might be a student in one. I have this other role because of my role here, and I'm enrolled in most of my classes with this other role. So this may be something would change a little bit just for you individually, but most of this on this page would really kind of stay the same. However, when you go into your course, kind of depending what you want to change here, there's a little bit more leeway here. There's some good reasons why we haven't kind of opened this up. As far as just good practice, good pedagogical practice in teaching, we've seen a lot of just kind of crazy things happen with these course homepages, including stuff just completely taken off the stuff so your students can't even access their own work. Sadly, sometimes we don't really know what we're doing when we do it. Not us, but in general, when we get into start moving stuff around, oftentimes we lose it and the students can't even access what we're trying to give them access to. So we have limited that to some degree. What kind of stuff would you like to see kind of modified, Opie?
Well, I don't have a specific thing in mind other than just sort of it feels like we have a limited amount of space within which we can work. and the screen real estate is limited, and I just wondered how much of that can change. But I'm just not going to worry about it too much right now, and I don't want to get you off track. But with that question, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no problem. It makes sense. There is some things we're looking at changing. Like for one reason, I know this bothers people sometimes, the student course evaluations. It needs to be on the page somewhere. We're actually thinking of moving it from here over to the side, so it's kind of down underneath some stuff, so it's not taking up so much of that real estate, so news stays on top. This is the only one in here that you can collapse. So you can collapse something that has this little icon up here. You can collapse it, so it helps for your real estate. But a lot of these aren't really collapsible. And again, some of this is possibly can be changed. We normally don't really modify this. However, you can sometimes modify your navigation bar, although we would really suggest to use caution doing that for several reasons. One, it's possible to give kind of block students from accessing things they need. Two, there's good reasons to have this consistent across the board, at least in a program, if not the university, so students have a better experience. So anyway. So there's that. From this page, there's a few things that I find very useful. However, like the news items right here. If you were here for a while, and I think both of you have been here for a little while, the old WebCT system had some announcement tools and pop-ups, and you could give information to your students that way. Desire2Learn doesn't really have that. However, in this news widget here on the front, you can kind of utilize this as an announcements area. So if you haven't, I don't know if either one of you have used this a lot, or is that something you're not real familiar with?
I've put my YouTube get to know you under news.
Oh, perfect. So you just embedded it there?
I embedded it. Yeah, it's just a narrated PowerPoint that's about 5 minutes long. That's just an introduction to the course.
Cool. Perfect. I like that. So you can do a lot here. Some of the stuff on this that I've played with here, again, if you both probably know, we're also a Google school, so we utilize Google Apps, including the Hangouts we're using now. I like some of these other ideas, and I won't talk about them today because it's not really part of this class, but stuff like using your calendar tool as a sign-up sheet. The calendar tool that we use at .edu actually has some options for creating appointment slots, and then you can share a URL directly with your students, and they can actually sign up for specific times, and it puts that on both your calendar and their calendar. So kind of a fun idea. I like it anyway for different sign-up sheet ideas. You can do Twitter feeds if you want to. It's not real effective with a Twitter feed if you use Twitter, just because of the nature of the way Twitter works. It doesn't really like being put here. It wants its own widget. It doesn't play well inside of Desire2Learn. Or the virtual office hours. So this one I actually tie right to a Google Hangout that I'm using, that I've tied to a direct Hangout, which is, again, there's kind of a trick to that, which I can talk about in a different time if you're interested. Or you can just use it just to put announcements. The calendar tool, you can also do some stuff with this, including adding things to the calendar from here. So if you want to go to the calendar, these little arrows next to the icons, or next to the name of on the widgets here, will allow you to do different things. So go to it, subscribe to this calendar so you can get notifications up top. Again, news, same way. You can go to the news tool. You can create a new news item from here, those kind of things. So the biggest thing I want to really cover is the content browser and possibly the course management area, that and the edit course. So that's when you're creating your course, that's really what you're mostly going to be using, is really Course Builder, and there'll be some stuff that you'll be using the edit course area for. Sorry, I'm kind of fighting a cold, so forgive my voice this morning. The other piece that I want to mention that you are welcome to use if you want, we actually have something called a basic course template that we are still kind of tweaking, and we'd of course love some feedback on that, but it's based on a lot of research, pedagogical research for online learning, that has a lot of pre-built stuff for you that we can basically give you, and then you can modify to fit your needs. You can change anything to fit your class, but it comes with the pre-built modules, pre-built files and things that you may find useful. So if that's something you're interested in, just let our department know. It's just a basic course template. All right, with that being said, I'm going to hit this edit course here first, because this really houses a lot of stuff. So if I click on edit course, a few of the questions that we get a lot, and I'm going to try to cover those first because I think it makes sense. So one of the questions is, when can my students access my class in a particular semester? So all of that stuff can be found out under this Edit Course feature. So under Site Setup, we have this course offering information. If I click on that, so actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let me back up a little bit here because I want to change my role to be an instructor instead of this help desk user so that I see what you see, kind of. So let me be an instructor here. So I'm going to go to Edit Course, Course Offering Information. So some stuff in here, just for my information, so I can tell what semester this is in. This particular course is not in this semester, so there's nothing here. But I have access actually to change some things. So by default, whatever semester, this is the one we created, so the dates aren't necessarily the same. It doesn't have a start and end date. But each semester when a course is created, it'll have a start and an end date. But as an instructor, you can actually change that. You can actually click on that and modify the date. So maybe you want to give your students access a week early just so they can get in and look at your syllabus. Like I would not ever think that was a good idea to say we require you to be in here early or to actually give something that's due early. I think you may run into some issues as far as legality, but it's not for me to decide. But that's something I wouldn't necessarily suggest. But you can modify those dates. You can also modify the end date, which sometimes is more important. So if you have a student saying, I need to get in for and like an incomplete type issue, you can actually modify some dates and do some stuff to give them access. So there's one.
I did this, David, for my fall class because they have to choose a book and order it on Amazon or from the bookstore or from someplace.
Cool.
Out of the list, there's not a definite book for the course. There are 25 people and 8 books, and they choose those books, and so they kind of need to get in there early in order to order them to have them on August 26th.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Whatever the first day is, and this group this summer asked me to do that in the future, so.
Cool.
I've already set the fall up to be open early.
That makes perfect sense. I love that. I mean, the other thing I would say, if you do that, you may want to send out an email, outside of CourseDen stating, you can access this course early just so you can, get a head start in the syllabus and so you understand where we're at. Find the books you need, that kind of thing. So they know it's open. Yeah,
this summer they have the Facebook page, so they posted it on Facebook that you could access. They could access my syllabus on my web page. And so that's how they all got, the ones that were paying attention to Facebook got the word that the syllabus was up on my web page.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
Anyway, all kinds of ways to
make life easier or harder depending how you look at it, right?
I don't know.
There's a lot of other stuff inside of this edit course. A lot of these, frankly, I don't think you'll ever use. There are some things you can modify. I know the question that you asked earlier, OP, this navigation and themes, this is actually one area that you can click and you can modify some of the stuff with the navigation bar. As of right now, I believe that's still something you can edit. There are some issues with that, just overall on the back end, our side, on technical side, trying to make things work correctly, having that available, but as of right now, that's something we can do. We don't necessarily have access to manage those home pages right now. We've kind of been playing with the idea back and forth with that, but that would be something that would be done inside of this area. So. Yeah,
and don't take my question as that I'm really pushing for you to open up things. I understand that it's more important for things to work consistently.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah. No problem. I thought I'd kind of give you a little bit of heads up on why some of those issues are that way, but yeah, it makes sense. There are some good reasons to change, but yeah, if we can make them work without causing too much irritation on the back end, then we're certainly all for it. But some of the other pieces in here that you may want to look at, and a lot of people haven't used even, is, say this one here under Learner Management is called an attendance area. So this may or may not come in handy, but if you're teaching a face-to-face class and using this as just an enhanced area, so you get a lot of your information on here. I actually was in a class where one of the instructors utilized this tool. You can actually make a register for your class and keep track of all your attendance here. Pretty simply, actually. The only downside of that is the attendance. It doesn't tie directly to the grade book, so if you're grading for attendance, you have to later go back and look at the attendance and then put in a grade. It doesn't tie directly, but I think it's kind of a neat idea. Again, it doesn't really come in handy if it's a fully online course, but if it's got some face-to-face components you want to keep track of, then that's one method of doing it. The other piece I think that Judy mentioned was this other manage dates area. So a lot of people don't even realize this is here. So when you copy components or copy a course from one class to another semester, so this manage dates can come in handy. So under edit course, manage dates, I can actually modify the dates for the entire course here. Not, in a couple different ways. So right here, this filter options, I can filter things, I can edit individual dates, or I can offset dates. So maybe I want to only look at, say, the discussions. Maybe that's what I use most, and I just don't need to look at the rest of the stuff. I can actually just close those off, apply the filter. So I can come down. I don't have dates on these, looks like, but no, maybe on this one. So I can modify individual dates I want to by selecting it and then clicking the edit date up on top. Or if I wanted to, I can actually do this offset dates. So if I said offset dates, I can actually do both start and end time. I can jump forward so many days. So that can come in handy. At least it gets you closer. It doesn't necessarily, it's not like a cure-all and fixes all your dates, but it can get you up a lot closer. Then you can go in and kind of modify the dates you need.
Well, that sounds a lot easier than what I've been doing.
Yeah, I think it helps a lot, especially say if you taught summer of 2013 and you're teaching summer of 2014. If you're going from a year jump, then you can just jump forward a year and your dates should be fairly close.
Well, that was easy, but I'm jumping to the fall, from summer to fall. I'm teaching the same course in the fall.
Yeah, that's a little bit trickier because the summer's a short semester. Yeah, that's definitely trickier to do. You can move them all forward. Then with that kind of a jump, you still have to go in probably and do some individual changing of dates. But you can do it all in one place, at least, if that's helpful. You can modify the dates all in one place. So anyway, just so you know, that's where that's at. I think it's a handy little tool. They had that available in the old WebCT system that we used to use as well, but it worked a little bit differently. But they had a similar tool there. See what else is in here that might come in handy for you. Most of your tools and things you can access from the edit course, just so you know they're there. You can actually get to most of things, including your quizzes and self-assessment, surveys, grades. So most things in the navigation bar you can access here. A lot of people don't realize that. So, including the course builder, but we also have that on the top navigation. But I'm going to go ahead and just go to the course builder next. So I'm going to click on course builder. So there's a couple ways to build inside of CourseDen. I prefer using the course builder. Some people use the content area. From whatever reason, I just like the way the course builder works. To me, it's, I guess, kind of a visual layout, but I like using it instead of content. But that's just me. But from the course builder, you can do a lot of stuff in here, including create pretty much all of the things you may want to put in your class, as well as pull things you've already created and place them in a module, or place them in some kind of weekly chunk, a weekly module. Sorry, I think I told you I'm fighting this cold, so my head's kind of in a fog, so if I wander down, kind of wander off the topic, that's why, forgive me. But anyway, so in this particular class, I made several different modules, which I just called weeks. Again, that's up to you as far as how you kind of navigate these and how you organize your content. I like the idea of creating weeks. Just to me, it makes sense. I think for the students, it gives them an understanding of what to do that week. Time is kind of part of the course, so to me, it just makes sense to put things in weekly chunks. But depending on what you're teaching and how you teach, it may not work for you. So I'm going to briefly kind of talk about this on the left-hand side here, what we have. So this build outline, a lot of people don't necessarily use many of these. However, there's some good use for them. So the reason that they're there, first, this top one, this module, this one you have to have, regardless of if you use the others or not. The module is just your container for any of your content, regardless of where you get it. So if I add one down here, notice how these light up orange if I mouse over top of them, which basically just means I can actually add this inside of a module. So I can embed a module in a module, or I can put a module underneath a module. So even here, if you notice the size of that line right here, it's kind of long. If I move it up and it shortens, it's going to be inside the module. So this confuses people sometimes. So I want to make sure that it's at the same level as the other modules. So it's going to be the same length as the other modules. So I'm going to leave it there and drop it off. And I believe I'm at week 6. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a week 6 here. I don't need a start and end date for this module, although that's an option. And if it says notes, notes are for you, not for your students. So if I put something in here thinking that my students are getting it, it's not working. So this is just for me as a as an instructor. So like if you're just creating a place to kind of getting ready to build your course, you haven't built it yet, and you just want to give yourself a note saying, in here I want to have an assignment, I want to have a quiz, I want to have this project, whatever. That's what that's for. So I'm going to say create. So now in week 6, the point of these is just kind of like putting sticky notes on your desk and drawing out your class before you create it. So I can put these placeholders in place without really building the content. I can say, well, I know I'm having a discussion. I'm going to have a link to some content online. I'm going to do a test, an assignment or whatever. So I can just make the course kind of virtually before I actually build the content. I can just lay it out. So if that's something that makes your mind work better, then by all means use those. A lot of people kind of already have this figured out, or they've done it before in another semester, or they do have the sticky notes on the wall that they've laid it out in. That works too. So the other two, the add content, again, most of you probably already know these things, but we'll cover them a little bit. So I can quickly create content from here, whether it's an assignment, an assignment which is called the Dropbox, this HTML file, which is really just a file, a web-friendly file. The reason I might want to use this, the one I like to use it for, is if I wanted to, say, have an overview page for my module. So what I mean by that is the first page in that module could be something basically just giving the students some instruction of what that week is all about. So perhaps like the weekly objectives, the tasks for that week, kind of what's going on that week, kind of a welcome to week 6 kind of page. And that can be easily created by using this HTML file. And most of the others I think you're pretty familiar with, at least OP and Judy are. I'm not sure if anybody watching this is. But I won't get real deep into each one of these, but you can add content from every one of them. The only one that you may or may not use is the Cengage Learning link. This is only used if you happen to be using a Cengage book and your Cengage rep is saying, yeah, this is your, it's all part of it. We're kind of beta testing this to try to see how well it works. We've had some good and bad experiences with this, but that's only for those certain books. And we may, do some more with different publishers later, but that's kind of what that's about. Just so you know. Any questions so far, or answers, or good jokes? Not yet. The other piece that a lot of people don't realize of what I'm really making here after I create an assignment or a Dropbox or a discussion or whatever, I'm really just making a pointer to it. So I may want to point to the same thing more than once. So for instance, I may make a project or maybe a midterm project I'm going to assign the first week, and then maybe in the third week I want to repoint to him and say, all right, by this time you need to have this done, or just kind of as a reminder, I want to put it in a couple different modules, so when it's assigned and when it's due. So I can do that pretty easily. Say, come down here to my Dropbox folders if it happens to be an assignment, and any of my assignments I can just repoint to. So like my midterm paper, maybe do I have a final paper in here? No, I don't. Yeah, I do. So I can take that final project here and I can actually pull it down here and put it inside of this module as well. It's just pointing to the exact same place that I already probably assigned it earlier, but at least that way they know this is due, now I can go ahead and turn it in here. So it's not real difficult to grab. You can just drag and drop from this area as well, kind of like the other area. And I can do that same thing with any of my other tools. Quizzes, grade items, as well as files. So if you upload a file into the Manage Files area, this is what seems to kind of confuse people when getting their files, and they kind of lose them once they're in here. Because oftentimes when I upload a file, let me minimize week 5 here. If I go into week 6, if I want to just add files from here, there's a couple ways to do that. One, I can actually click Course Files, and if I have my file in my Course Files, I can add it from there. 2, I can come over here to this Upload Files on the right and just click Upload Files, and then I can grab it from my computer. So if I have something on my own computer, whether it's a PowerPoint or hopefully not a PowerPoint, a PDF, or some type of file I want to add here, I can just say Choose File. Let's see if I have anything on this particular computer. I may not on this computer. I'm using our lab computer, so I'm going to have a lot to snag here, but yeah, we'll grab this for a minute. So let's say the PDF file, I can just grab that. It shows it here. I can upload more than one at a time, and then just say upload. And and that'll take that file, and what it's really doing is taking that file and placing it in the root directory of my file manager, which I can access up here in the Manage Files. So again, that's one way to add files. That's the quickest way, but I know depending on kind of how you think, you may want to have your file manager organized differently than that. Because again, doing it this way is not just putting no organization into your file manager, it's just putting everything kind of in the root in one big pile. And it's pointing to it and it'll work. And your students don't really know or care necessarily what the back end looks like. As long as this looks organized, that's what matters to the students. They don't see your Managed Files area. But if that's something you want to organize, you can do that. Again, I'll talk about that just a little bit in a minute. Any questions so far? Oh, it's a quiet room. Like there's birds chirping or something, or crickets maybe. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and look at the Manage Files area while I'm in here, because again, that's just kind of one way to add information. So if I click Manage Files, this takes me directly to my file manager, so it's kind of made it easier than it used to. In the past, that wasn't a quick link. I had to go a weird way to get here. So here, as you notice, I'm kind of selected on this root directory, and there's a whole bunch of files just sitting directly in my file manager. They're not really organized at all. So if I wanted to, from in here, I can actually create folders. I can organize my file manager, and I can actually upload files into this from here. So if I wanted to come here first and pull my media and content in here, I could actually create a folder called Week 1 content, Week 2 content, Week 3 content, and organize the files just so, as if I'm going to use this and create a course I'm going to use more than once, it may be worth my doing that just for my own sanity, so I can know where all my stuff is located. If I want to edit the files later, I can access it easily and edit the file. So just a thought, but this is fairly easy to do. So new file, I can create a new file. Sorry, there's new folders or new files. I can create a new file, which is with an HTML file, right from here as well. So that's the whole idea in the Manage Files area. So if I wanted to move some things around, notice this drop down next to any of the files. I can rename them, I can cut them, I can delete them, I can download them if I want to. I can select a few and zip them up. Leave it. Am I talking out of school? No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I can zip them up. Make sure I'm not crazy with that statement, but I think I can. Okay, might be crazy. I was thinking you could zip them up from the inside here, but I believe that's maybe my mind's still on the old stuff. I don't think that's something I can do that easy. Okay. But any thoughts with the file manager?
I've never used the file manager, so I'm...
No problem. That's actually, I think a lot of people don't realize that even where their files are going. So you upload your files, you get stuff in here, but you don't even realize where it's going. So yeah. Totally understand. And there's not necessarily a good reason that you have to dive in here and do stuff. But I think it's good to know what's in here, where it's being put. Because if you have a lot of files in here and everything's in that one directory, if you wanted to, say, move this to next semester and you want to modify it, I mean, you don't have to come in here to modify it, but I think if you have this organized, it'll make life easier to come in here to modify it. You can, from the course builder, you can also modify any of those files here. So let's go back a week or two. If I go back to, say, to week 4, this overview page, this is one that I built. This is an HTML page. And notice over here, it gives me the file name. It's HTML, which means I can edit this file directly inside of CourseDen. If this is a Word doc or a PDF, I cannot do that. I have to download the file, fix it, re-upload the file. But here, if I select it or have that orange line around it, I can click on Edit File over here, and I can just modify the file directly. This doesn't look like one I just embedded a YouTube video into. Let's see what else is in here. I guess that's it. So you can do a lot of stuff with these files. I can modify. Maybe I don't like this YouTube video anymore. I can actually just backspace, get rid of the YouTube video. I can insert a new one. I can make that an image. I can kind of do whatever I want and modify it and save it from right here and be done with it. So I think, Julie, you said you might utilize YouTube for some of your welcome stuff and class, overview.
I did that, and then I've also put it in my discussion board this summer. The book that I have is a collection of famous people.
Oh, cool.
Their articles out of different journals. And so I went onto YouTube and found them talking about curriculum.
Oh, perfect.
and then I inserted them into each of the discussion boards so that the students are reading and then they're getting to see the person that they're reading. And
That's
I found that that's more relevant to the students, that they're actually seeing that these are real people out there. They're not dead white men.
yeah.
That they're some of them are dead white men, but
Still relevant, however, right?
yeah, well, but some of the videos are a little old, but most of them are not.
Yeah.
But I learned how to do that, and now I've forgotten how I did it. I learn if I'm going to do it again.
It's not too bad. There's only a little trick to it, really. And I'll be happy to show you while we're here, because that's what I do. So if I wanted to do that same thing here, I'm gonna go ahead and say go back to my overview page. Well, I can do it from the discussion actually. So I'll say edit discussion. Oh, that's the only trick. One of the tricks is for a discussion. If I click edit discussion, I'm really just kind of editing the pointer. I don't have access to edit everything in here. So I'll show what I mean by that. If I cancel this, and I'm gonna come up here and click manage files, just because this hides my navigation bar if I don't. And I'll click discussions. And I have one actually embedded here from another area, but let's go down to another. I think I have another one down here, different group. Yeah, let's go to this one. So you have some other options when you do the edit from here than I did not have if I edit from the course builder. So just so you know, like you can still do a lot of that, but some of the restrictions and assessments pieces, you need to come here to modify. Just I don't know why that is. That's just the way they built the system. So if I wanted to do that here, this is just a Word doc. I'm going to get rid of this. If I wanted to embed a video, go ahead.
Yeah, I went to advanced and then I did add stuff.
Yep, the insert stuff right here. You can do it in advanced or right here, but it's that same icon.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think that people have done in the past that works and doesn't work. So if you click insert stuff, you have YouTube. So if you know what you're looking for, you can just click YouTube and search for it. The downside of this is the YouTube video that you get will also have the kind of embedded advertisement videos that go along with it. So there's a way to get around not doing that. You can also insert your own if I wanted to. So looks like mine's acting slow here, but if I wanted to insert something my own that it wasn't public, so I couldn't find it by looking here, I can actually just click enter embed code.
That's what I did.
Okay. It looks like my system is yelling at me here for a minute for some reason. I should get a little pop over here, a little empty box, but for whatever reason my computer's giving us some trouble over here. I've been fighting internet all day, so it may be related to the internet connection, especially where we're kind of pulling a lot of internet using this Hangout. But if I enter embed code, I can just paste the code directly right here. The only trick to that is from the YouTube video that you grab. Oops. The only one I'm safe searching, I think. I usually search for that RSA animate because there's not any out there that I know of that are bad. I have to embarrass myself like, oh, that's probably not a good video. If I click on the video that I want to insert, click on share, there's an embed option. I'm going to go ahead and mute that for me. I'm going to click embed. And right down here, what we don't often notice is right here, this is usually checked. So I can uncheck show suggested videos. So that's what I would do. And then make it whatever size you want. So I kind of like the 640 size. That's not bad. But you may or may not notice, but in this code that we're just going to grab and copy, it doesn't say HTTP or HTTPS right here. So it needs to. And I think for certain pages this might work, but for CourseDen it doesn't. I actually have to, after I paste it in, I just need to type in HTTPS : right here. That's all I need to do. That's really the only thing I have to remember. But if I grab that...
Well, I didn't do that. How did I get mine in?
Yours worked without doing that?
Yeah.
Neat trick. Usually it requires it, and it may depend on the browsers that you're using. I think some browsers don't just see that, like, because we're coming from an HTTPS page up here in CourseDen. This page is HTTPS. if we're coming from this page, I believe what Google's trying to do is whatever page you access it from, it's going to go. It's gonna work that way. But it seems that certain browsers have a little bit of problem with that. So you may not have noticed any issues, and maybe you've been all right. But I would recommend adding
I
that to
don't know
those just in case your students can't access it. Maybe on, I don't know if it's certain with Macs, but I have seen that issue sometimes. It doesn't always work.
Well, I called the 6248 number and got them to walk me through it again. I have notes from when you did it, and so I put together
Cool.
assisting.
That's what they're there for, so no problem. But anyway, so that's one thing you can do quickly. But I know I'm kind of bounced off of what we're doing, but there you go. So I'm going to cancel my discussion edit here. I don't need to say that I'm not actually doing anything. So any other thoughts with the course builder? Or anything else you really want to know before I'll dive in?
I didn't know about the long line and the short line. I never noticed that before.
Yeah. Because of the fact that you can drag things around. So if you, for instance, you move a course from last semester to this semester, and now you want to move this stuff around a little bit, you can, of course, just say grab assignment 1, and I could just drop it up on top of the module. If I drop it here, it puts it all the way down here. But I can also put it in the middle. But sometimes when we place it in there, now an assignment I can't make a long line because it will only go inside of a module. Does that make sense? So it's not going to be a short or long because it can't be at the same level as a module. It has to be inside of a module.
I understand.
Yeah. But the oops, I put it back where it was. But a module itself can be. So I could actually move this on accident, grab it, and pull it up like that. Also, it's inside of my other module. I didn't mean to. But so no big deal. I can also pull it back out. So anyway. So yeah, good to know. I think that's one of those I've seen people do a lot on accident and didn't realize what they're doing, and kind of trying to figure out how to fix it after they did it. But yeah, you can move those around pretty simply. I really do like the drag and drop features that they've added. I mean, that they've put inside of course Desire2Learn. So to me, that makes life a whole lot easier. The other area that they've modified some is this content area. Again, I'm not going to talk a lot about this because frankly I don't really like it. I really prefer the other area. But from in here, it's a whole different look, first of all. So you can reach each one of your modules over here on the side. So if I click on Welcome, you can see all your modules. I can do some modifying them from here. So I can move them around. I can also drag and drop them. So if I wanted to, I can drag and drop them a little bit. Let's see. So I can move them, not quite as easy. I don't think it's, for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem like it moves as easy as the other way inside of the course builder, but you can grab them and move them. You can also add activities from here, so you can add a new Dropbox, those kind of things. So it's a totally different way of doing it, but you can kind of build your course from inside the content area. Any thoughts about that? Y'all really, is this something that you'd be interested in looking at, or is this something that you'd probably not use anyway?
I don't ever use it.
Yeah.
I do use the content area, but I don't think I have any questions about what's going on there.
Okay. Do you like the content area? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I do a lot of my course actually out on a website, so I don't do as complete a build inside of CourseDen is what you're showing.
Yeah.
D2L.
You point a lot of stuff just to your webpage, that external?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Cool. And yeah, you can certainly do that too. The other piece I kind of mentioned earlier, the whole Google Apps thing, if you have, like what I like to do personally is stuff like syllabus, things that you may modify, but it's something you're going to use in every course. If you put them in your Google Drive, you can share them that way and just point to them in a link. And if you need to change them, you can modify them really easily in Google Drive, and it modifies whatever the students are looking at inside the course. So just because Google Drive gives you an option of modifying it, and it keeps whatever you modify, it saves it, and you publish it to a web or whatever, that's going to be modified for you automatically. So I kind of like that option. And what else do I need to cover? So the other piece that I know I talked about with Judy that she wants me to cover is the discussion, so let's dive into that. So just from the discussions area, the big question we get is grading. Probably is how to grade easy, because
Yeah, that is the big one with D2L for me.
and I totally agree. So there's still some issues with that. So one would be if I have a discussion and I tie it to a rubric, you can do it, but frankly, there's just some caveats and it doesn't work as well as it should.
It's too much trouble. I don't do it.
I frankly wouldn't either right now. Hope they'll fix it. Right? I mean, the rubrics work well with drop boxes, but they don't work well with discussions right now. The issues that they have is it's simply you can put a rubric to a discussion, but it doesn't automatically put stuff in the gradebook like it should. So it just requires you to do some redundant work. That's all we like to do as professors is do stuff twice. If of course.
Yeah. Well, I can grade automatically from gradebook. I know how to do that. But I would like to be able to grade and leave a message as I'm going through the discussion. Send a message to the student, not post on the discussion board.
So if you, right now, are you going to grades? Let's see if I have any. I mean, I have any that are posted. Any discussions I can grade in this class. Let's see.
Yeah, I get the little green and yellow box.
Yeah. And that's how you're doing it right now, is clicking on that to grade?
To give the grade, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I'm reading the discussions, and there's no, in the older version, you could actually click on assess, and a little box came up, and you could leave them a personal message.
Yeah.
To the world.
Let me see if I have another.
Grade. If you do that now, you go out of the discussion window into an assessment window.
Yeah, I was hoping I had one. I don't have one that I can pull in. Do you want me to look? Can I look at your course while we're in here?
Sure.
Is there one I can look at that won't cause any issues with?
Yeah, it's SEED 7271.
SEED?
You got it.
Let's see if it just doesn't search that way.
It's got a long name. That's it. Advanced Study of Secondary School Curriculum section. That's last summer. Down below. Go down below.
Let's go to this one.
All
right.
That's this summer.
I don't really want to dive into the grade book because this will be shown on here. So maybe I better not do that because we're publishing this live, so I don't really want to get in the grade book and show any grades with this. But yeah, with that discussion here, you could go to the grades and click on that and modify it. I need to make a course that I can do this with publicly, so I'm not violating any FERPA laws and getting a spanking. So I don't want to do that. But yeah, there's not a great way to click on discussions and grade. You can, of course. But I don't like it, frankly. So you can do the assess topic from here. But I think what you're doing better. Sorry, say that again.
It goes to this page that you've got up now, and you have to scroll down and find the person you were reading. Now it's not a problem with this class because it's a small class.
Yeah. But
with my class that has 25 in it, it's a different story.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah, I'll play with that. I didn't see if I can find some better way to do it. I think you're probably doing it the easiest way. It's leaving feedback and grading sometimes that I think is adding the complexity. It shouldn't be adding complexity, frankly. That should be something that's easy to do. But someone else just brought that up too, that it's not real easy to leave feedback when grading a discussion inside of
discussions.
Yeah, or in the gradebook grading discussions, there are some area there. Once you grade it, there is a little feedback icon.
There is. If I can remember from the time I read it in discussions.
Let me go back to mine. Yeah, a lot of mine are not even graded. Yeah, they are. This YouTube embed one is, but I don't have one to grade. But I think I can show you from here even without anything to grade. And I know you said normally you have that little icon next to that so you can grade it. But I can also click the drop down up on top and say grade all. And from in here, you would see their submission. So some of these, like this is saying these two are dropped. That's why they're saying that, because I'm dropping the lowest two. Because I've just graded one. So normally you see a little icon here, the discussion icon looks like this one up here. I click on that, I can see their stuff and grade it.
Yes.
I can also click feedback right here. I don't know if that's what you're doing, but I can come over here and click feedback. and I can add their feedback to this as well. So that'll give them feedback in the grade book.
Well, now actually, with the little icon, you get a feedback box too.
Yeah, from inside of there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Is that not what you mean? Like, that's not.
What I would like to do is to be able to do that in discussions. In the
Oh, I
old
see.
version,
Yeah,
you could actually click on the person's name,
yeah.
give them
And
the
look at that.
score, and give them feedback that didn't, and it went to gradebook automatically.
Yeah, there's not an easy way to do it from the discussion side over here. You
No,
pretty
there's
much
not.
kind of a nightmare. Hopefully that's something they're working on. I know we've complained a lot about that, and that's actually why they added the ability to grade with this inside of the gradebook. That didn't used to be there.
Well, I like that grading inside a gradebook for my papers and other things like that. It's
But just
attendance is easy to do that way.
yeah,
Participation. I hate to grade attendance and participation, but that's just what came out.
yep. I understand, no problem. Well, maybe I don't have a great answer for you here then, I'm afraid. But sadly, sorry about that. I thought I had a good answer, but I think you're actually doing the best possible scenario.
I think I'm doing it.
Yep, I think you are. I think you are. So, any other thoughts or questions about anything in here before we? Again, I'm not going to make this real long. I just thought I'd cover anything and be happy to answer any questions that either one of you have before we call this one a day.
So David, I missed the icon you're talking about to grade the discussion inside the grade book. I've
Okay.
done this stuff, but then it's been a while and I lose my.
So
Well,
right here up in the navigation bar, this discussions, this little
Right.
green and yellow icon right here,
Right.
next to that. If I'm in the gradebook and I have a discussion post, if someone has posted a discussion, I'll actually see right here next to this that icon,
Oh, okay.
and I can click on that, and then from there I could see anything they posted. I can see all their discussion posts from that click, and can grade from there. So it definitely makes it easier than trying to grade from up here, from discussions. Does that make sense?
Thanks.
Yep, no problem. All right. I think I've rambled on probably just enough to bore you both to death. So hopefully not too bad. But if you don't have any other questions, or if you do, we can entertain those. But if you don't have any other questions, we'll go ahead and call this a day.
No.
Okay.
Well, thank you as usual, David.
You're welcome, Judy. And for those watching this later, if anybody needs help, you can always contact us over here at our office. I think we're pretty much out there now. The best number is the 96248 on campus, or the 95289 for faculty to reach us directly here. So I'll go ahead and stop this broadcast. Thanks a lot.